Hello viewers, welcome back to Ohio Air Gun Shooter. I have a quick quiz for you. What air rifle currently sits in front of you at this moment? At first glance, there's definitely two dead giveaways as to what it is. But yet at the same time, there's a few other things as well that lead you to believe it may be something else. And you're probably not wrong, because this is a combination of two companies that came together and tried to introduce an item with the same name, but which was built from a different company in yet a different country. As a previous owner and a current owner of each of the company's items, I can see similarities and yet differences, of the two. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to the Webley and Scott Stingray 2 from Hatsan. I mean, technically, this isn't an introduction. This is an older air rifle that was first made. I'm thinking, if I go by the serial number, I think it was produced in 2012. We all know that the Webley and Scott of Birmingham, England, UK, sold to Hatsan in Turkey, and they moved production to Turkey. If you're all familiar with the Webley and Scott line of air rifles, you may recall or remember the Webley and Scott Patriot, the Webley and Scott Tomahawk, the Webley and Scott Stingray, and the Webley and Scott Exocet, which I was a previous owner of in 25 caliber. I'm not sure what the exact date was. I think it was around 2007, 2008, I think, when Webley and Scott sold or moved production to Turkey, courtesy of Hatsan. Anyhow, I was very disappointed when that happened. And I'm sure many Webley and Scott fans, buyers, users from around the world were as well. I mean, personally, I instantly knew that the quality went down because at the time I was a current owner of what was called a Walther Falcon Hunter in 25 caliber, which was a Turkish-made Hatsan, just rebranded in the Walther name. It was a very disappointing product that I purchased. It came with a synthetic stock, which was very fragile, broke several times. I replaced it several times, and eventually I just gave up on it. I mean, it was just a piece of garbage. So I eventually threw it in the garbage. I mean, mechanically, the action, it was a brake barrel, spring piston. It was surprisingly very accurate. I could hold groups with it. I took it squirrel hunting. It was a great squirrel shooter. It was a scope breaker, though. I mean, even though it wasn't a really like high-powered Magnum Springer, it did have a tendency. It actually broke the scope that came with it. The mounts that came with it were actually the scope rings. They sat kind of high, and it didn't have like a really good scope stop. So eventually what happened was, after a few shots, you could see the scope leaning kind of back a little bit because the rings were kind of tilted back, from the spring piston, the forward and reverse, motion that comes with fire, shooting a spring piston air gun. Anyhow, it was just a difficult gun to tame. And again, the stock continued to break, so I had it replaced several times for free. but eventually I just gave up on it. Now the UK Webley Exocet that I had was an excellent air gun. It was a carbine. It had a shorter barrel. I loved it. I forget why I sold it. I just think I needed money at the time, and I wasn't shooting it a lot. However, to this day, I regret doing it because, like, right after I sold it was, I think, when I was aware of the sale or the move from of Webley and Scott from England to Turkey. And ever since then, I've been kicking myself for getting rid of it. And I've been on a search for, original Birmingham, UK Webleys. Haven't found any. There was one, I think. It was on Gunbroker. But I've been having issues with them lately. So I gave up on them. This one here, I found on eBay. I might have overpaid for it. I paid under $300 for it, shipped from, I think it came from Oregon. The box it came in, whenever it arrived, I was a little worried at first, just by the shape of the box. As you can see, it did travel a long way, across mountains, through snowstorms, I'm sure. But I saw it sitting out front, and I was a little worried, but they packaged it pretty well. There's the packing peanuts. They had it wrapped really good in this packaging paper, and there's some air bubble packaging as well. So kudos to the shipper and the seller. It didn't come with any accessories or manuals. But I am familiar with Hatsan, and I'm also familiar with Webley and Scott. So, yeah, I kind of saw it, and I was interested in it. I haven't shot it yet, so I don't know if it functions okay. I believe whoever the seller got it from an auction or an estate sale. So it's in great shape. I mean, you can see the stock is beautiful. Another giveaway is you can see the pattern on the stock. You can kind of see it there. I got my light to help out. But that's another giveaway, that it's kind of a Hatsan. Webley had a different pattern with the checkering and engraving like that. I think my Exocet was actually, it had checkering on the grip, but it was smooth where the forearm was. But yeah, that's kind of another giveaway that it's a Hatsan. Very nice walnut. I think this is Turkish walnut. Very nice grain and pattern. Really nice rich color to it. But you can definitely tell by the Quattro trigger that it's made in Turkey. And then the hooded front sight has more of that rearward slope. I think most of the UK models, and also your German Weihrauch and RWS or Diana, have a more vertical globe. So that was another giveaway. This does have a cat that you can unscrew and put a muzzle brake or moderator. So depending on how long it would be, it would kind of look really weird, really long. Especially with this front sight on. I don't know if you can remove that. But this is spring piston. It's not a gas piston or gas ram. So I believe, a little bit more longevity than you would with a gas piston. I do have a Hatsan QE 135 in Carnivore in 30 caliber. Matter of fact, let me get that out and we'll compare the two. As you can see here, the triggers are virtually identical. The stocks have different shapes, of course. The checkering, the engraving, you can see the pattern has a more Turkish style to it than a European look. I know Turkey is still kind of Europe, but you know where I'm getting. With the UK styling compared to the Turkish styling. Both very nice Turkish walnut stocks. A lot of issues online about the Hatsan and their quality control. I don't know how much that translated or ended up in the Webley and Scott models. I believe the first Stingrays that they tried to introduce, again, this is the Stingray 2, were very poor quality, had a lot of issues with them. I think they even tried to introduce the Patriot as well through Hatsan, but very similarities. Open sights, the rear open sight on this, on below the QE 135 Carnivore, it's all the dials are plastic. On the Stingray 2, the dials are metal. Another giveaway is the safety on the Stingray 2 has a more Birmingham Webley and Scott styling to it than the you can see on the QE here. It's a little different, more of a plastic trigger. I believe that one's plastic as well, but it does have the UK Birmingham UK styling of safety from what I remember. I think my Webley on the Exocet had a similar safety as well. You can kind of see how it looks there. This is an automatic safety. Again, these dials are metal. Matter of fact, I think the entire sight is metal compared to this one being plastic down here. No moderator, no noise dampening. But I mean, very nice, good-looking air rifles. But again, just it's hit or miss with what you get on how well it shoots. I mean, a lot of people have had issues with these. I haven't shot this one yet. This is pretty much brand new. Weather's getting nicer outside, so I'm going to take it out here soon and hopefully do some testing with it. I did do some velocity testing, but it performed pretty well, good velocities. But matter of fact, what I'm going to do today is we're going to run this over to chronograph together and see if mechanically it's in good shape. I have no idea. I paid, I think, $285 for it on eBay minus the shipping. So I'll be interesting to see if if there's anything wrong with it. Let's get a little closer look at the Webley and Scott Stingray 2 from Hatsan. There's that safety I was mentioning. It's more of the Webley and Scott styling of safety. Just a dovetail scope rail, no scope stop of any kind. So I do have some scopes. I may try to scope this, but we're gonna have a problem with scope creep. Definitely with this, I'm sure. But maybe put a lighter scope on there. I do have a shorty, kind of a shorty scope. It came with my Stoeger X20, I think. It's a lot shorter. Doesn't have an adjustable objective or anything, but it may do well on this, being that it's lighter. Might not creep as much, but we'll see. Again, rear sight fiber optic. Yeah, these knobs are metal instead of the plastic. Fully adjustable windage and elevation. Globed front sight, and I believe it is fiber optic. You can see there's a red, but you can see the slanted globe on top, the hood. Very nice Turkish walnut stock. There's the Quattro trigger. Let me turn this around. Kind of got this knife case sitting in there, kind of holding it up a little better. Otherwise, it wants to kind of sink down in my holder here. You can see Webley & Scott. This is 22 caliber, 22 caliber, 5.5 millimeter. See, I'm thinking this is the production date. Oops, my bad. January 2012. Is that correct? I'm not sure how to read these serial numbers. Imported by Webley & Scott USA, made in Turkey. I went around and checked all the screws, everything. These were actually, I got like 3 turns on, I think it was this side over here. This one I got about a turn and a half. The stock screw that goes up through the back here of the trigger, I got like 2 turns on that. So they were definitely loose. That was one of the issues I had with the Walther Falcon Hunter, was with the plastic or synthetic stock. The screw that went up here into the action, the plastic that the screw went through kept cracking, even though I had the screws tight. It actually came with two screws on 2 holes, in 2 holes, so you could tighten it on both sides twice. But it kept cracking like right in here, even though I'd have these tight, but not too tight. Every time I shot it, it kept cracking, and I found out why, because this piece was cracked. So I sent it back, replaced it, put the action back in, put the screws back in, you know, tight but not too tight, as well as this one back here, and it's still cracked back here. So I had enough of it. So but very nice grain. Doesn't have the traditional Hudson style stock or adjustable butt plate there. This one's rubber. It has the white, you know, spacer in between, a little bit of black spacer. One thing I noticed on this is the cheek pieces don't have a very smooth round into them. It is ambidextrous on both sides, but it's a little rough. Not rough, but it's not completely rounded. I remember with like with the Exocet, it was much rounder, and that's on both sides actually. Again, the Quattro trigger. See, power lock inside, Webley Stingray to Quattro trademark. So, I mean, a very handsome looking air rifle. I don't know how well it will shoot. So we'll tell you what, I got some pellets here. I did oil the action, all the pivot points, the trigger. I put a drop or 2 of the RWS chamber lube in here. And then just kind of worked the piston up and down. It's probably going to diesel a little bit, but it is recommended to use that every, you know, like 1,000 shots or so. I don't know how long this has been sitting. There was a few little, like, I don't want to say rust, but you can kind of, I don't know if you can see it. Probably not, it won't focus. But the spring looked good. I took everything out, checked, you know, I took the action outside of the wood. Everything looked pretty good, so I'm gonna first start out with these Cro-Magnums. I just want to just this will help control. They're heavier. They're 18.321 grains. This will help some of the dieseling, control some of that. You might even get some combustion. I'm not sure. Or detonation, they call it. And then I'll move to these jumbo exacts and see what kind of velocities we're getting to make sure there's nothing mechanically wrong inside. To make sure the piston seal's okay. These are 15.89 grain. I'm thinking this thing will probably shoot 700s, mid 700s, maybe the low 8s, or I can go get a look, maybe go back and look and see what the claimed FPS was on these. But it's a very handsome looking air rifle. So hopefully it will shoot as good as it looks. And hopefully there's nothing wrong with it. So let me set up the chronograph and we'll run it across and see if it's okay. All right, I'm going to check the velocity on the Webley & Scott Stingray 2 from Hatsan, I guess you could say. Gonna make sure it's mechanically okay. Slide this over a bit. I got a pretty good backstop back there. I got that piece of cardboard box with like a 1/4 inch piece of plywood in there, and then I got another box behind it. It's only 22 caliber. I went and looked. I think it's rated at about 800 feet per second, but we'll probably be shooting under that. It may be a little faster here at first, since I oiled it really well. Like I said, I only put like a drop. I think maybe a drop of the RWS chamber lube inside of it, and I just kind of worked the barrel up and down a few times just to kind of get it lubed up. So we'll see how it goes. We'll zoom out. It cocks really smooth. I mean, a lot smoother than from I remember of the Walther Falcon Hunter that I have. I'm gonna try to get all this in. Matter of fact, let me move this table out of the way for a second. All right, I'm back. It's a very smooth cocker. Doesn't feel, not very noisy at all. The O-ring looked good around here. I did oil this. Again, I put a drop or two of just the RWS chamber lube. I kind of worked it back and forth. Again, this will probably detonate at first. So let's get the velocity down there. Got set to feet per second. Again, automatic safety. Safety is off. Tilt this forward a little, down. Again, this may diesel and detonate the first couple shots. Hopefully not too well. That's why I'm using the heavier pellet. All right, first shot. Get back a little bit. .4. Let me do about 5 of these, and then I'll switch to the lighter JSB. This Cro-Magnum's going really tight. Cock it all the way. 667.5. Yeah, when I cocked it, it didn't engage the trigger all the way. All right. Three. These are heavier, so it will shoot slower. .9. One more, and then I'll switch. All right. 582.2. So it seemed to settle down. Let me try the jumbos. These JSB Diablo Jumbo, or exact, they're not jumbos. 15.89 grains. So far it seems to be working okay. Those Cro-Magnums were a little tight going in it. These are a little bit easier to get in. .0. .4. It's a little lower than I expected. .98. I don't know how much this has been shot. .93. So it's .598.5. .98.1. Very smooth cocking. .98.4. Let me try one more. .97.8. So it's probably about a 600 feet per second rated air rifle in .22 caliber. So the dieseling and the slight detonation that I was getting has definitely calmed down. Let me try a lighter pellet. 14, I think the 14 grain Crosman Premiers. Stand by. Take that back. I'll try the RWS Superdomes. These are 14.5 grains. Try a few of these. I hear my cats running around upstairs. We'll do 5 of these. .669.8. So that's about a grain and a 1.3 grains lighter. See the difference. 675.8. So about 700 feet per second rated with the 14 grain pellets, I would assume. 677.2. 675.5. 675.3. And 670.4. So definitely brought the FPS up with the lighter RWS Superdome 14.5 grain compared to the 15.89 Diablo Exact from JSB. And then I used the heavier Cro-Magnums 18.21 grain to start out with to help calm down the dieseling and detonation. So it's shooting right about where it should be. So seems like everything internally is okay. So one thing I want to do is just recheck these screws. That's a little bit of a noisy shot cycle. Could probably use a tune or something to help quiet down a bit. I mean, being a spring piston, it's definitely much more tunable than your gas piston. So these are tight, and then the screw back here. This one here goes into the back of the action here. This was the one that I was having problems with breaking on the Walther Falcon Hunter. I mean, with it being plastic, I don't know what plastic they used. Again, it was licensed by Walther, made by Hatsan, distributed by Umarex USA here in the US. That's nice and tight still. This front one, this just holds the trigger guard. That doesn't have to be super tight, but it's good. But yeah, I mean, it was where the screw went in through the plastic piece into the action, it was cracked. So I was having movement back here. Either this was cracking and then the movement was causing this. I mean, it would just crack right here. I'm out there hunting, squirrel hunting one day after I got like the second stock, or second or third stock. I feel for Umarex. They kept having to deal with me, but they kept sending me replacements. Anyhow, I'm out there hunting. I take a squirrel. I go to retrieve it, and I notice it was cracked. I mean, the piece literally just fell right off. So I was like, I'm done. So, I mean, that was years ago. I was hoping maybe to find I probably could have found a wood stock through Hatsan that the action would have fit on, being, it was a Hatsan rifle. But I just, at the time, I was at my limit. So I was like, I took it and hit it on the ground and threw it away. So hopefully that's why I try to stick to wood stocks. Just, I don't know. For me, it's a lot more solid. So, I mean, so far everything looks good on this. The screw holes, great looking rear rifle. Again, cock's very smooth. It doesn't have, I don't know if it had the automatic safety. Let me double check. Yeah, it does have the automatic safety. I don't know if you can decock this. Let me see. No, you can't decock this one. Some of these you can decock. I'll have to shoot it. I'll do off camera here. But yeah, my RWS I could decock, and I think there's a couple other. I couldn't decock Gamos. I think I could. I thought I could decock the Exocet, but I can't remember. But I know definitely the RWSs you can decock. But not a bad looking air rifle. Matter of fact, let me get rid of this. I'm gonna shoot a pellet through this right away because I don't want to leave it cocked, being a spring piston. Just get rid of this right now. But the Cro-Magnums went in really tight. I don't know if you can see the breach there. It's just a hollow point. I don't think I have any regular crosswind premieres in 22 caliber. Just the hollow points. I think these are 14.3 grain. So those would probably be a tad faster than the RWS. But yeah, very nice. You can hear the shooting, the shot cycle, the release of the piston. It's a little noisy. Premier does sell this. It's called Tune or Lube in a tube. I think it kind of helps quiet it down a bit. You just take it out of the action, and then you can just squeeze it, work it into the spring, and it's supposed to help quiet it down. I think the trigger on this is plastic, unfortunately. It's like a magnet, but you can kind of tell it seems kind of, it might be metal, but it's not magnetic. Everything else is magnetic. But I don't know. What do you think? Is it an abomination? I mean, I was broken heart. I was heartbroken when the announcement came that Webley was going to Turkey. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people were. I mean, just Webley and Scott. I mean, their air rifles were works of art. I mean, this thing may be a work of art, but I mean, it looks great. But just Hatsan isn't known for their reliability or their accuracy. I'll have to get this out and see how well it shoots. I'll probably start with open sights and then maybe try to fit a scope on it. Again, it doesn't have a scope stop. It doesn't even have any holes for a scope stop. So I don't know how hard the shot cycle will be on a scope mount. Again, it's just dovetail. So I don't know, we'll see. Like I said, maybe put a lighter, shorter scope on there. I think I got a UTG Bug Buster too. That might be because it has the objectable or the adjustable objective on it, and I think it's 3 to 9 or something like that. But they're shorter, they're a little lighter. I think they stay a little better on these springers. But this is a Springer. It's not a gas piston, so it should be a lot more reliable. Last a lot longer. Again, I got it from eBay. The guy got it from an estate or an auction. So I don't know the history of it. I don't know how much it has been shot. Again, the serial number, if I'm reading it right, it's a January 2012 production. I'll have to go back and do some research. I think these started at about 2010 or so, the Stingray 2s. I'm not sure when they first tried to reintroduce the Stingray under the Hatsan or Made in Turkey branding, labeling, but not a bad looking air rifle. It'll be interesting to see how well it will shoot. I actually have to get the Hatsan QE 135 Carnivore out as well. Test that out. It's in 30 caliber. So might have a really nice afternoon of shooting outdoors here in the near future. Anyhow, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed my video.